What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, Joker back again, once again. So, with Beyond Light, Bungie not only gutted many of the strikes, PvP maps, and game types, but added virtually nothing to the core playlist to replace them. On top of instituting sunsetting, which I'm not going to speak for anyone but myself, has left me not really giving a shit about legendary gear, as the time invested in grinding them out ultimately won't be respected. I mean, how many people spent years grinding out that one god-rolled weapon only to have all of that time invalidated? This is why, when it comes to my personal taste, since PvP is my primary go-to when it comes to Destiny, all I need is a good exotic primary, Fellwinter's Lie, and my shoulder. And while people can all day long until they're blue in the face, when it comes to the quality of Beyond Light, and we can simply agree to disagree, I don't think it's a stretch to say that right now, Destiny 2 is pretty bare bones. And if Season of the Hunt is any indication of what we can expect in regards to the quality of content that we will be getting from the Season Pass content throughout the year, well, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, it's gonna be rough. Now, I've said it before and I will reiterate it here. Destiny, as a game, does not thrive on these episodic, Monster of the Week, drip-fed seasons. More so when the seasons, like last year, all kind of start to blur together and become Horde mode, not Horde mode, number 8652. Because just like with Nightmare Hunts, just like with the Sundial, just like with Seraph Towers, just like with Gambit Perfected, just like with the Wraithborn hunts, this content is not sustainable. Destiny is a game that lives or dies on three things and three things alone. In fact, I'd argue that all looters and MMOs live and die on these three things alone: loot, the endgame, and sustainable core activities. Look at Anthem Year 1, look at Avengers, look at Division Year 1, look at Division 2 Year 1, look at Destiny Year 1, look at Destiny 2 Year 1, look at Godfall. History might not repeat itself, but god damn it if it doesn't rhyme. The truth is, Destiny is a game whose developers believe that leveling is content, when we all know, in reality, leveling is not content. Still, they arbitrarily level gate things to pad out playtime, so you find yourself experiencing a taste of something new until you run into that arbitrary level gate, only to then go play hours upon hours of the same banal repetitive shit you've been doing for the last few years. Except now, with Beyond Light, and the Destiny Content Vault, and sunsetting, the repetition is made worse. The vaulting of content and the injection of virtually nothing new into these core activities have left them feeling more repetitive. Destiny as a game has essentially turned into a hamster wheel. You gear up and get ready for the raid, do the raid, and wait for the next raid, only to do it all over again. And maybe, just maybe, you play some trials or PvP if that's your thing, while you wait. Which actually makes the group of people who want PvP removed from Destiny all the more laughable. Like, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, if you think that Bungie is suddenly going to start making more PvE content because PvP isn't a thing, when PvP can go years without a large content update and months upon months without even a balance pass, then oh boy, do I have some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. What Destiny desperately needs to do is refocus on its core activities. A season of the core, if you will, where all the vendors are refreshed, Destiny 1 style, with their own gear and their own weapons, where the factions are brought back, where we're given at least 3 or 4 new strikes. And I mean new strikes. None of this Destiny 1 content vault bullshit. We of course need a new raid for PvE, and if I'm pushing my luck in this hypothetical, a dungeon would be nice as well. PvP of course needs new maps and new modes. Hell, PvP just needs a lot of work in general. To sort of expand on my earlier point, how the fuck, no really, like actually, how the fuck does the company that made motherfucking Halo only manage to queef out of their collective asses a handful of game types and a handful of maps? What kind of fucking joke is that? You think that PvP would be their bread and butter. Like, even if, just for the sake of argument, they wanted to keep PvP players together in curated playlists. So why not just have a plethora of objectives in a, I don't know, objective playlist? Gasp, shock, horror, lightning crackle, lightning crackle, lightning crackle. Maybe game types like Juggernaut, Assault, Capture the Flag, Regicide, King of the Hill, or I don't fucking know. Things like, it's on the tip of my tongue, Rift? Salvage? Or let's add some new playlists. Let's think outside of the box. Combined Arms, Big Team Battle, Sparrow Racing. Also, how, in 2020, 10 years after Bungie released Halo Reach, are we still unable to dictate our matchmaking preferences in Destiny? Like, Bungie, you did this right before. Just do it again. Like, I don't get it. Destiny actually has a really unique PvP. It's not Call of Duty. It's not a battle royale. It's the closest thing to an arena shooter on the market right now, and they're just not leveraging that. It's like Bungie with Destiny is doing everything they can to not build on the legacy they created for themselves with Halo. Imagine for a moment if Destiny had Halo's Forge. Bungie would never need to create another PvP map again. Imagine if we had Halo-like custom game settings and a community custom browser. Done. PvP would thrive. PvP would take care of itself. Now imagine what the Destiny community could do with something like Theater Mode. Or, follow me again, what if you took that same custom map editor and allowed people to make their own Gambit maps? What if, not only with allowing people to make their own Gambit maps, we got different rule sets for Gambit, custom Gambit game types, gasp, shock, horror, lightning crackle, lightning crackle, lightning crackle, and a community browser for Gambit. When I talk about creating sustainable content, one of the answers to Bungie's perpetual issue of making content is hard.exe is simply let the community do it for you. I mean, it works for Bethesda, all the Elder Scrolls games, all the Fallout games. They're all still going fairly strong with their own communities because community creations. And it's almost like Bungie employees have stated before when it comes to this exact set of tools.
The community is just going to outstrip us and spank us.
But you want to know what the sad, sad truth is? The reality behind why Bungie has double, tripled, and quadrupled down on the Season Pass model? Why it takes a year, if not longer, for vendors to get a new piece of gear, or hell, in the case of Iron Banner, a reprised piece of gear. Do you want to know why your gear was sunset just so you can regrind out the same exact hand cannon, or auto rifle, or shotgun, or approximation thereof? Do you want to know why your armor was retired so you'd have to settle for what's in the game, or buy a new set of ornaments from the cash shop? All while you regrind the materials required to level up this new set of armor that's just worse, probably in most cases, than what you originally had. It's because Destiny is free to play. It's because between the cash shop and the Season Pass, Bungie has found it vastly more profitable to create and drip feed content that is bolstered by, or either locked behind, the cash shop or the Season Pass, all while introducing things they've taken from the player. It's more profitable for Bungie as a company to appeal to the casual audience, to the people that say, I really don't feel like running 100 strikes to get this really cool God-rolled shotgun, but this 2-minute Wrathborn hunt event thing that guarantees a weapon roll each time I do it? Sign me up! Destiny 2 is just as casual now, if not more than it's ever been. Sure, there have been some bones thrown to the core players, like Nightfalls and Heroic Lost Sectors. But that's just making content that was already in the game slightly harder. And that difficulty kinda becomes null and void once you're leveled appropriately. In my opinion, Bungie has spent years building a brand around what they cannot do and selling that to people. Whether it be the infamous
what Bungie decided was we can't do this anymore. This is just too much. This is too hard for us to do. The tools that we work with are really hard to deal with. It's hard for us to make this much content. It's just hard making content in general.
Or Luke Smith telling us that the Season Pass is untenable. Not once, not twice, but 3 times, and then doubling down on it again and again and again with exceedingly less content each time. To the shipping of Beyond Light, the most bare bones and content-sparse expansion Bungie has ever released. I take a look at that, and then I look at games like Final Fantasy XIV, with a development team of 264 people. Then I compare it to Bungie's 600 people, and I see everything that Final Fantasy XIV strives to do, and all the things that Bungie just say they can't do. And I have to ask, Is it can't? Or is it won't? There is a big difference. Now, I'm not here to complain about the cash shop or how Destiny is free to play, merely to voice a reality. It is clearly far more financially viable for Bungie to create just enough content to keep people engaged, to keep them spending money in the cash shop, to keep them buying season passes, than it is for them to refresh the vendors, or to release a lot of strikes and PvP maps up front. I mean, why release 3 or 4 new strikes or 4 or 5 new PvP maps at the release of an expansion when you can sprinkle them out over the course of a year? Why spend time developing a new raid when you can just bring back the Vault of Glass and use nostalgia to repackage it and hype it up? Minimum effort, maximum profit. All while the rest of Bungie works on their new IP matter. Because that's what really matters. This is why it's a no-brainer that we can have a cash shop filled to the brim for every little event, but Bungie has to pick and choose between making Trials gear and a Pinnacle weapon. Because guess what, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Guess which one's free? But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. Hey, we have shirts now. But above all else, stay frosty.